Greetings everyone, this is Vakar Kovri from TFT Perspective, and we are going to discuss issue related to punishments awarded to ninth May culprits by Pakistani military courts, which are definitely sanctioned by the Supreme Court of Pakistan that they could announce it. And now there is some resonance coming from European Union and United Kingdoms. Very strange that how could any foreign power or any foreign entity interfere into Pakistan's domestic politics or laws. So from that angle, I think this is very critical. Now, today we're going to focus on I think 4 or 5 aspects. Number one, what are the laws and regulations related to protection of military garrisons as well as war memorials or martyrs monuments in Western countries. So we'll basically have a look at how do the US and UK laws deal with it, and do the garrison allow anybody to come and just enter, ransack it, and then get away with it. The courts don't do anything, or there are certain checks. Are the hooligans allowed to desecrate monuments in UK and United States, and then it becomes a human rights issue in case they are tried, or there are very stringent laws related to that. The other is that why UK and European Union is missing forest for a tree. Why are they missing forest for a tree? The issue is not the punishments, or let's say they were tried in military courts, they were well within Pakistan's constitution and law. The issue is that what was the act conduct, and that is very important. And it's taken almost more than 15 months to come up with these punishments. So have they forgotten it? What was happening on 9th May? Who was calling from UK and North America? Zalmay Khalilzad and some of the, I would say, runaway so-called activists sitting in UK and North America, and they were calling openly to assault officers' residences, giving targets, and in an environment when Pakistan is facing increased activity of terrorism in the bordering areas, even in the urban areas. So can Pakistan afford to lower its guard, allow anybody, Tom, Dick and Harry, to come and ransack and maybe destroy military installations? And tomorrow, if this is allowed, where does it stop? Do the UK and EU want that Pakistan defences should be assaulted by hooligans? I think this is very important. There's also, discussion on why no sovereign nation would allow interference into, laws and rules which are followed by these nations by any other power. Can they interfere in China? Can they interfere in India or Iran or Middle East for that matter? Or let's say, would US like Pakistan to comment on what do they do with Guantanamo Bay, detainees, what happened to them, what kind of human rights were there? So I think these are some of the importance. First, we basically go to United States of America, how the military garrison bases are protected. Now this is covered under CRM 1500 to 1999 and 1634 protection of government property military bases and section 1382 of title 18. Basically it's not assault, it's even forbids trespassing, and it says that simple intent to enter when you are unauthorized will trigger this section. And what is the kind of punishment you do when you trespass into military installation? And we had the experience at times when you visit friends in US military garrison, you have to have identity. Unauthorized person is not allowed. What to talk of let's say assaulting a gate of a military station or shouting on a military personnel? You will have it. Now if you look at punishment, especially assault on a military garrison, basically it says that there are two kind of assaults. One is definitely which results into damage and injury, and the punishment is 10 years. 10 years simply. Nobody going to ask, it's basically in case they have evidence, CCTV footage, 2-3 people, and it is done very speedily. It doesn't take 1.5 years. So I think US is very clear as far as their military garrisons are concerned, and this is inside continental US. I'm not saying the garrison which are spread all across the world. continental US is definitely very, very well protected. Now, if you look at the uh, war memorial and national monuments, again, there's section 1361 of Title 18 United States Code, and I'll just go through some of the provision. It says the policy of US to prosecute to the fullest extent permitted under federal law and as appropriate any person or entity that destroys, damages, vandalizes, or desecrates a monument, memorial, or a statue within the United States or otherwise. So it means that they are very, I think, very serious about protection of monuments. And later on, I think President Trump did issue an executive order also, because there were some reports of desecration of some of the monuments, and very harsh punishments were awarded. And then, of course, Congress comes in. That it's the desire of the Congress to protect federal property is clearly reflected in the same code. And then Memorial Preservation and Recognition Act of 2003, Section 1369 of Title 18 United States Code also covers it. And they basically wanted to increase the penalties. So US government is very clear that whether it is military garrisons or their monuments, there is no mafi. I mean, you don't get a relief. It is straight away, and again, the punishment could be 5 years to 10 years in case, depending on the nature of offense. Now, this also comes under the federal crime, and in case it involves terrorism. Let's say you want to do with an intent to terrorize people or a community or the military garrison, then the punishment could be even more. I think it is definitely it can become something very closer to capital punishment. And I'll just go through President's Executive Order of 7 to 2020, protecting American monuments, memorial statues, and combating recent criminal violence. The President had issued an executive order, and they were very clear that no nonsense will be allowed. Now we come to United Kingdom's protection of war memorials first. It covered in basically a debate which happened in 2012. There was a petition by one of the ex-servicemen, Mr. Ian Coleman, who felt that people were not respecting the war memorials and the martyrs' monuments. So he raised a question. This was discussed in the parliament. And this was in February. And, the Secretary of State for Justice then had to assure Mr. Coleman that all those signed the petition that any criminal offense related to monuments or war memorials is punishable with a maximum penalty of 10 years. So even in UK, they are very clear. But when it comes to Pakistan, European Union, and I don't know, I don't have details regarding Germany, France. I'm sure they are very honorable people, and they do protect, their memorials of martyrs and war heroes. So this is the kind of, stance these nations have. And if you look at the UK, I think there are 20,000 sites within United Kingdom which are either part of the war memorials or historic monuments or, protected properties. So all told, I think this is sheer hypocrisy on part of European Union and United Kingdom that they are missing forest for a tree. They are looking at the punishment and not looking at the act. And if you look at 9th May, it included everything. It was not only assault on military garrison, which is a protected property of the federal government of Pakistan. And there are reasons for that, because if you don't stop it, then Pakistan will become a banana. And it could be any property. It could be police station. It could be civil bureaucrats' residence. It could be a judge's court. So I think there has to be. But when it comes to military, I think there are special provision naturally, because they are the defenders of that country. And they are focused on basically courts, not even punishment, that why it was tried in military courts. Military courts are very much part of the constitutional framework in Pakistan, and they operate under certain rules and regulations. And definitely when it comes to protection of military garrisons and the shohada or martyrs, we are, I think, very strict about it. And Pakistan has done all the right thing. Why this noise? And if you now add, some of the sanction coming on our missile program, so there is an orchestrated campaign now to pressurize Pakistan to draw certain concessions for whom? Maybe the lobbying being done by, let's say, the PTI, or they are worried about CPEC 2, Pakistan getting closer to China, or they feel that they can coerce Pakistan to draw certain concessions. Now we come to, let's say, the very first part, and that is Article 14 of International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, ICCPR. And I'll just, expose the Western hypocrisy. Let's go to Palestinian territory. And how does Israel, basically, let's say, brush aside these covenants, which are not binding, but at least morally one has to do it. And then compare it the act of military courts in Pakistan and see, which is more critical. Israel has imposed emergency regulations. It applies torture and genocide now, which has been declared by ICC. Administrative detentions, and it is actually occupied a complete land. Same is true with India in occupied Kashmir, whatever it does, so these, I think, covenants are not invoked. Even within United Kingdoms, they have been high-handedness, especially in terms of IPP or imprisonment of for public protection. There's misuse of this law, and this is considered inhuman and degrading. Then, of course, indefinite immigrants detention. It is happening to immigrants who are human beings, and these are also being criticized by human rights, organizations, United Nations. Counterterrorism laws and policies are, I think, very, very, I would say, selective, especially against Muslim, which actually results in Islamophobia. And then, of course, is the restriction on right to protest. If you look at Police Crime Sentencing Court Act of 2022 and Public Order Act of 2023, they have, I think, imposed new restrictions. And now they are also coming very heavy on social media. And we know it how they are. I think it was even said by some of the prime ministers that social media need to be, put into place. In Kashmir, you have occupied Kashmir. You have human rights abuses, 14,000 missing boys and and men since August 2019. Arson, demolishing of houses and businesses, and virtually there's no right of information. It's very difficult to get any information. Then you go to mainland India, they are still related to even the human rights organization are not allowed to work properly. So International Federation of Human Rights, the Frontline Defenders, and the World Organization Against Torture have submitted. And even Genocide Watch has said that India, in case there are 12 stages, is already reached 11th stage. Any condemnation by European Union or UK publicly? No. And then, of course, is use of counterterrorism laws, how they've dealt with Christians in Manipur, how they dealt with Muslims in the rest of the India. United States, clear violation in Guantanamo Bay, which included arbitrary detention, torture and ill treatment, lack of health care, shackling, and even waterboarding. And even some of the CIA chiefs said that this was totally within the rule book of CIA. And violent cell extractions. So all these, I think, do violate ICC PR. I think what Pakistan needs to do is one, of course, I think this needs to be discussed in the international media also, and apprise them that one, of course, although we don't have to, but just for their information, that military courts are part of the constitutional framework, and Supreme Court had allowed the military courts to announce decision. There is a right of appeal in case it is felt that they have been wrong. There's nothing like that they have not been given free trial or they don't have any relief system in the appellate courts. However, I think internally Pakistan needs to now start displaying the old, notices. I remember that these notices when you were entering garrisons were very clear that the do's and don'ts about garrison, because now we have a lot of mixed garrison where civilians also live. Maybe we have to remind them to billboards and also display, I think, videos of 9th May and also 24 November and 25th November in Islamabad, how PTI assaulted the state, vandalized it, and then also highlight that Pakistan is facing an active threat of terrorism, where we almost have test attack happening regularly. We are fighting, and in case a political party also adopts the same methodology, and you can't really disguise, you can't really, let's say, differentiate between a terrorist and a political activist. Where do we go from it? I think Pakistan should be actually more stricter than let's say the developed world. But if you look at Department of Homeland Security in US, the kind of laws they brought, including people who come and travel to US, including their own citizen, and the way human rights and other things were curbed. It is alarming. Same is true in UK. We have an example of France when there were, let's say, riots by Jared Jones. They came up, very heavily, and I think within days there were decisions. And they're basically called like this test attack in Germany, in one of the, I think, Christmas markets. He has been now already arraigned and put into the court. He's not waited for 6 months or 1 year. So all told, I think Pakistan has done it. What was required, Pakistan and its military and law enforcement agencies operate in an environment which is still fraught with the threat of terrorism, and Pakistan has to keep moving forward. We should not get blackmailed by the, I would say, sponsored moves in European Union and United Kingdom, and they should also realize and compare. Just do a comparison and see that who is the main violator of human rights. Thank you very much.